हेलो फ्रेंड्स, नमस्कार, वेलकम टू दिस सेशन। सो दोस्तों, हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं इकोनॉमिक सर्वे 1920 एंड वी आर इन द मंथ ऑफ मार्च। आई नो दैट मोस्ट ऑफ यू मस्ट हैव स्टार्टेड फीलिंग लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रेस। तो सिर्फ 90 डेज बचे हैं और बहुत कुछ प्रिपरेशन के लिए बचा हुआ है। स्टैटिक पोर्शन प्रिपेयर करना है, करंट अफेयर्स पे प्रिपेयर करना है, अपने वीक एरियाज को प्रिपेयर करना है, क्वेश्चंस को प्रैक्टिस करना है, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस को प्रैक्टिस करना है। सर सी सेट भी बचा हुआ है। बहुत दुनिया जहान की चीज़ें बची हुई हैं एंड यू आर फीलिंग स्ट्रेस्ड। सो फ्रेंड्स, लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग, दैट नेक्स्ट 2 months, the month of March and the month of April, these 2 months are going to decide your destiny. So you can live these 2 months in 2 possible ways: either worrying, being tensed, having stress and always overthinking, या तो आप इस तरह से जी सकते हो, और being cool, calm, composed and confident. So you can go either way. In the first way, when you are tensed, stressed, there are more chances that you will not be able to survive a good health till the examination. Or even if you are doing study for 10 to 12 hours, in the examination hall, you will not be able to reproduce that knowledge. Right? In the second way of being, that means you are cool, calm, composed, confident and doing your job. In that case, there are high chances that you will be having better recall and reproduction of your knowledge in the examination hall. So the choice is yours. See, 90 days is for everyone. It's not only for you. So either you can take it that this is a very short period of time, or you can take, okay, now the time for performance starts. And friends, I know you have been preparing for a long time. So it's not that you have wasted your time. You have invested your time, money, effort, emotions, energy in the preparation over a long period of time. So stop doubting yourself. Don't doubt yourself. You are the best. Right? Go with that mindset. And my wishes are with you that you will do best in this examination. So with these blessings from my side, I start this session. In this session, I am going to discuss a very important topic, that is inflation. So the Economic Survey 1920 has given a separate chapter in the volume 2, chapter number 5. So this chapter number 5 has been given in the volume 2 of the Economic Survey. And this chapter number 5 talks about inflation. So in this session, we will discuss the basics of inflation for 10-15 minutes, so that you can, you get an idea, you are able to recall about the inflation. And after that, we will see what are the important observations of the economic survey and some of the multiple choice questions. Right? So this is how we will go. So in total, if we see the volume 2, in volume 2 of the economic survey, there are total 10 chapters. Out of 10 chapters, we already covered these 4 chapters. Now we are going to cover the prices and inflation chapter. prices and inflation. So first of all, what is the meaning of inflation? I know you have a basic idea. Sir, it is a rise in the prices of goods and services. Very simple. महंगाई मतलब inflation. But friends, when we are studying for the UPSC, we need to be very crisp, to the point, right? So let us see the definition. This definition has been given by the Economic Survey of 2008-9, right? So this is a authentic definition of the inflation. Inflation is an upward movement, right? So this is an upward movement in the general level, in the general prices of goods and services, right? Here I would like to introduce three important points. First, it is the general prices of goods and services, right? So here general basically means this price rise is across the commodities. So if only one item price is increasing and rest of the items are not increasing, then we do not call it the inflation. So to be called the inflation, this price rise has to be across the commodities and across the sectors. Right? Second, this price rise is to be persistent. Persistent means it should be visible for a sufficient period of time, right? So if the prices of milk increase for 2 days, we do not count it in the inflation, right? So there should be the increase maybe for few weeks, few months, and so on and so forth. So a very temporary rise in the price will not be counted in the inflation. So this is persistent. The second feature is that this should be persistent. Third, this inflation should be appreciable. Now, what is the meaning of appreciable? Appreciable means that rise in the price should be visible. It is not that just 0.00001% increase in the price you will be counting as inflation. Yeah, mathematically you can say that's the rise in the price. But for the policy making point of view, or if we want to see the impact on the people, then this appreciable has to be there. There should be some visible impact. People should feel that okay, the prices of wheat are increasing, the prices of vegetables are increasing, the prices of pulses are increasing. There should be hole in their pocket. Are you getting? So this is the third feature. So first is general, second is persistent, and third is appreciable. Now, how do we calculate the inflation? इन्फ्लेशन हम किस तरह से कैलकुलेट करते हैं? तो इन्फ्लेशन हम इस तरह से कैलकुलेट करते हैं. सो इट इज एस्टिमेटेड और इट इज मेजर्ड. सो दिस इज द मेजरमेंट. It is estimated as the percentage rate of change in the price index over the reference time period. So there are three important points. First, it is the percentage rate of change. Second, the change is in the price index. And third, it is over the reference time period. Right? So let us understand these points with a small example. So let us suppose in the year 1, the price of rice per kg is rupees 20. In the year 2, the price is rupees 24, and in the year 3, the price is rupees 30. So this is the observation which has been made from the market information, that prices of the rice has been increasing year after year. Now, how do we calculate the inflation? For calculating the inflation, first we will see the price index of this rice. First we will make the price index, right? So how do we calculate the price index? To calculate the price index, we take the price of current year and we divide by the price of the last year and we multiply it by 100, right? So if we do this, what do we get? We get 120. So 120 is the price index. Here, price of the current year divided by price of the base year. So basically, in the denominator, we will be taking price of the base year. So we are taking this as the base year. So base year is 1 year or any 1 year which we are choosing as the base, and we are calculating the price index based upon the base year itself, right? So base year is 1 year in which the prices remain stable and the government chooses it as the base year for the subsequent time, right? So for example, these days the base year is 2011-12 for the WPI and 2012 for the CPI, right? So similarly, we choose the base year. So suppose this is the base year. So here the price of the current year divided by price of the base year multiplied by 100. So the price index comes to the 150. So this is how we can calculate the price index. Now, rate of inflation. How do we calculate the rate of inflation? Rate of inflation can be calculated as the price index of current year minus the price index of last year. So the price index of base year is automatically 100, right? Divided by the price index of last year multiplied by 100. So this comes to as 20 upon 100 into 100, that means 20%. So 20% is the rate of inflation. Similarly, in the year 3, 150, the price index of the current year minus price index of the previous year, right? So in this year, we are calculating the inflation with the reference time of previous year. So let us come back to the definition. It is estimated as the percentage rate of change in the price index over the reference time period. So in our example, the reference time period is the last year, the previous year. We are calculating the inflation year on year, right? The price of this year compared to the price of last year. This is called year on year inflation, and this is how this inflation is calculated. Normally the inflation will be calculated year on year basis only, right? So this is called year on year inflation. So the price index of current year minus the price index of last year divided by the price index of last year. That means, and multiply by 100, that means 30 divided by 120 multiplied by 100. That means it comes to around 25%. 25%. So we can see this is the rate of inflation. right? This is the price index, and this rate of inflation is basically representing the rate of change, the percentage rate of change, this 20%, 25% percentage rate of change in the price index compared to the reference time. The reference time is the previous year only. In case of year 2, the reference time is year 1. In case of year 3, the reference time is 1 year. This base year is only for the calculation of price index. This rate of inflation is based upon the last year, immediately last year. This price index is based upon the base year. So base year can be last year or it can be any other year. Please be careful about this, right? So now we can see that this definition is crystal clear to you now, right? Now this price index, we calculate this price index at 3 different possible levels. It can be either wholesale price index or consumer price index or producer price index. This wholesale price index represents the price change at the wholesale level. Consumer price index represents the price change at the retail level, at the end consumer level. Producer price index represents price index or price change at the production level, right? As of now, this wholesale and consumer, these two are the official price index. This producer price index was introduced by the Economic Survey of 2017-18 and this has not yet been implemented. It is proposed by the BN Goldker Committee that this producer price index will replace wholesale price index, but it has not been done so far, right? I hope the meaning and the calculation of the inflation is very clear to you. Now let us see the meaning once again. In the broad sense, inflation is that state in which the prices of goods and services rise on the one hand and value of money falls on the other hand. This is also another point. So value of money falls, that means the purchasing power of money declines, right? So in our example, we took the price of rice in the year 1 rupees 10, in the year 2 rupees 12. Sorry, let us see from there only. So we took the price as 20, 24 and 30, right? So in the year 1, rupees 20 were required for buying the 1 kilogram of rice. That means in rupee 1, how much rice? 1 upon 20. In the year 2, in 1 rupee rice, 1 upon 24, and year 3, 1 upon 30. So in the year 1, the quantity is more. In the year 2, because the denominator is increasing, so quantity will reduce. In the year 3, the quantity of purchase will decrease. So the rupee 1 is same, but the purchasing power of rupee 1 from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 is decreasing. The purchasing power is decreasing from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. This rupee 1 is able to purchase less quantity of rice year after year because of the rise in the prices of rice, right? So this value of money falls. We have seen the purchasing power of money declines because of the inflation. So because of the inflation, rupee 1, the quantity of rupee remains same, rupee 1, and the quantity of rice it can buy, that decreases year after year just because the value of the rice or the price of the rice is increasing. When money circulation exceeds the production of goods and services, then inflation takes place in the economy, right? So when money circulation exceeds the supply of goods and services, right? So when money exceeds, that means the demand exceeds, because when people have more money in their hand, in their pocket, they tend to buy more goods, they tend to spend more amount, right? And the supply of goods and services do not increase suddenly. It takes time for supply of goods and services to increase. The supply of goods and services do not increase suddenly. It takes time. So demand is increasing, but supply do not increase suddenly. So because of demand supply mismatch, the prices will rise. Because of demand supply mismatch, the prices will rise. Now let us see an overview of the different types of inflation. So overall we can see there are five broad categories. A, on the basis of rate of inflation, or we can say speed of inflation. B, on the basis of degree of control. C, on the basis of whether this is anticipated or not. D, on the basis of causes of inflation. And E, on the basis of employment, the impact on employment. Out of this, A, B and D, these are important, and I will discuss these only because we don't have much time. I need to spend time on discussing the economic survey rather than the inflation. So if you want to know the basics of inflation, I have uploaded certain chapters free of cost on the YouTube. You can go there and you can watch them, and you can enjoy those lectures. I am 100% sure that if you see those lectures, your inflation concepts will be crystal clear. Year after year, you can expect one question, so you should not ignore the chapter of inflation. First is as per the speed. In the speed, number 1, creeping inflation. So when the rate of inflation is approximately 3%, this is called creeping inflation. This level of inflation is desirable. This level of inflation is desirable, and even current inflation targeting framework that says that up to 4% of consumer price index based inflation is required. This creeping inflation is required because when there is certain minimum rise in the price, it will incentivize the producer of the goods, because the producer of the goods will earn some profit because of rise in the goods prices, right? So certain level of rise in the price motivates producer to produce goods, which provides employment to a lot of people, the taxes to the government, provides supply in the market, right? When people get the job because of more production, their income rises. When their income rises, they spend that money to buy the goods and services. So ultimately the demand of goods also increases. That demand is further fulfilled by production of more goods. So a virtuous cycle of production, employment, job creation is created, and that is why we say this creeping inflation is desirable, it is required, right? So it is required to maintain certain level of economic growth, right? So economic growth means rise in the GDP year after year. And how the GDP will rise? When there is increase in the production. Why the production will increase? The production will increase when there is certain motivation to the producer because of rise in the prices and rise in the demand. The rise in the price will happen and the production will increase, right? So this creeping inflation is desirable. Number two is walking inflation. When the rate of inflation is up to 10%, this is called walking inflation. This inflation is not dangerous, but it should motivate the government and the concerned authorities to control the inflation. Running inflation, that means the inflation up to 20%. This inflation is very, very dangerous, and government should take all the possible steps to control the inflation. Galloping or hyperinflation is very, very dangerous, highly dangerous, and this is a very exceptional case, and it destroys the entire economy. It destroys the external trade of the country. So it should be avoided. On the basis of degree of control, first is open inflation. Open inflation means when the government do not control the inflation, government allows the market forces to work on their own. Suppressed inflation means the government controls the inflation through indirect measures. So in India, for example, the government provides subsidy to the oil marketing companies, right? If the government do not provide the subsidy to the oil marketing companies, in that case the prices of petroleum products will rise, which will lead to high level of inflation in the economy, right? So that subsidy has been given to control the prices and to control the level of inflation. So that is the example of suppressed inflation. So in India, in the petroleum products like petrol, diesel, we have suppressed inflation. The government controls through indirect measures. Now inflation on the basis of causes. First, demand pull inflation. So when the demand is more than supply, this demand can be more than supply because of different reasons, either because excess money, or because high exports, or because population rise, or because income of the people is increasing, for example by the 7th pay commission to the government companies. So there can be different reasons because of which the demand rises suddenly and the supply takes time. So supply is dependent upon the production, and production unit, whether in the manufacturing sector, agriculture sector or services sector, it takes time. It takes time to build, it takes time to bring the production. So demand increase suddenly, but the supply do not increase suddenly. Because of this mismatch in the demand and supply, the demand pull inflation happens. Number 2, cost push inflation. So this happens because of rise in the cost of products, cost of production. For example, when there is rise in the crude oil prices, and crude oil prices is the raw material for the fertilizer industry and many other industries. So because of rise in the raw material prices, the cost of production will increase and they are bound to increase the prices. So this is called cost push inflation. This cost push inflation is also because of the poor infrastructure. For example, in India, our logistics cost is very, very high. This is approximately 15% as compared to less than 10% in the global logistics sector. So because of high logistics cost also, the cost of production, the cost of transportation can rise and our inflation can increase. Third, profit induced inflation. When the producers, wholesalers and retailers, they keep adding their profit, right? When producers and middlemen, intermediaries, they keep adding their profit margin, then it can also lead to inflation. This kind of inflation is very much visible in the agriculture sector. In the agriculture sector, you will find that farmer is getting very minimal price. It is the middleman who adds a lot of profit, and the ultimate consumer price are very, very high, right? So this profit induced inflation is very, very dangerous. Next, budgetary inflation. When government spends a lot of amount on the infrastructure, on the MGNREGA, on the 7th pay commission, on the direct benefit transfer, so government is pumping a lot of money into the economy. and because of that the money supply increases, and when the money supply increases, the demand increases and supply do not increase suddenly, and because of this budgetary inflation takes place. Then we have monetary inflation. So when the general interest rates come down, when the RBI reduces the repo rate, in that case the money supply increases but the supply do not increase suddenly. So this causes the monetary inflation. And finally we have number 6, multi-causal inflation. So when one or more than one of these factors work together, then this is called multi-causal inflation. Multi-causal inflation. So with this discussion, I hope you are clear about the basics about the different types of inflation. Now I am going to differentiate between the wholesale price index and consumer price index, because this is somewhat very important from the examination point of view. There are some facts and there are some concepts also. So you should be clear about the difference between the CPI and WPI. My speed will be a little bit faster because here the purpose is not to cover the basics of inflation. The purpose is to cover the economic survey, and all this I am building the foundation so that you do not struggle while you are reading the economic survey portion. So wholesale price index, the name itself says, this is comparing the prices at the wholesale level, and this is at the consumer level, right? So first, meaning WPI amounts to average change in prices of commodities at the wholesale level. CPI indicates the average change in the prices of commodities at the retail level. It is published by Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? So Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? Because this is for the wholesale. So wholesalers are part of the commerce and industry. So very commonsensically, if you try to link, then there is a direct link. These wholesalers are part of the commerce and industry. Therefore, this is the Ministry of Commerce and Industry who is publishing the WPI. This CPI is produced by the National Statistics Office. Earlier it was the CSO. Earlier the name given to this National Statistics Office was Central Statistics Office. Now this is National Statistics Office or NSO, and this is part of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. In the wholesale price index, we measure the prices of only and only goods. So this is a big limitation of WPI. Because of this big limitation, we are trying to introduce the producer price inflation. In case of CPI, both goods and services are included. So this is much more comprehensive measure. That is why earlier only WPI was the headline inflation. Now even the CPI is the headline inflation. What is the meaning of headline inflation? I will discuss in the coming slide. Measurement of inflation. So first and subsequent wholesale stages and at the final stage of transaction. Prices paid by manufacturers and wholesalers. These prices are tracked, and here the prices paid by the consumers. In the wholesale price index, how many items are covered? There are total 697 items, right? So friends, when we are calculating the price index, we calculate it for a basket of products. So there is a basket of product. There is a collection of product which represent the entire set of product. So in case of WPI, there are 697 such products which are categorized into primary, fuel and power and manufactured products. So these 697 products, they are classified into primary products, fuel and power and manufactured products. Consumer price index, in this case, in case of rural areas, there are 448 products. In case of urban areas, there are 460 products. So in continuation, what types of item are covered here? So here we cover manufactured item, intermediate item. In case of consumer price index, we can see those items which are consumed like education, communication, transportation, recreation, apparel, foods and beverages, housing and medical. So all the goods and services which we are using day in day out. The base year in case of wholesale price index is 2011-12, right? I hope you remember the concept of base year. I discussed that we choose 1 year in which the price remains stable as the base year, and we calculate the price index of the subsequent year by referring to the prices of this base year. So base year for the WPI is 11-12 and base year for CPI is 2012. Now weightage for the food products. So weightage for the products is comparatively lesser, it is just 22%. But in case of consumer, this is 45%, right? So this CPI is more affected by the food products as compared to the WPI. This WPI is used only by the few countries including India, and CPI is used by 157 countries. Data on the WPI is released by different agencies on monthly basis, and this is also released on the monthly basis. Now, so here we can see this is the figure given by the Economic Survey 2019-20. And first, CPI, Consumer Price Index. In this Consumer Price Index, we can see from 2016-17, first it declined to 3.6, then 3.4, and then it increased to 4.1 in 2019-20. So in 2019-20, it has increased, and the increase is primarily because of the food inflation. As I told you that this CPI is this CPI is having more weightage from the food side. Therefore, CPI is affected more because of the food inflation. And in the recent couple of years, this food inflation has been there because of rise in the prices of vegetables and pulses, right? Vegetables and pulses price have been increasing. This pulses price has been increasing because of the cobweb phenomenon. We will discuss what is the meaning of cobweb phenomena. WPI given in the yellow color. So it was very low in 16-17. It increased suddenly to 4.3% in 18-19. Now again it came down very suddenly to 1.5%. Friends, the question arises, what type of question can be asked in the prelims examination from this discussion that we are doing as of now? So in this question, from this chart, they can ask that what has been the trend of CPI. So CPI has been consistently increasing or consistently declining. Similarly, WPI, whether WPI is steadily increasing or steadily declining. So they can ask this type of question. Friends, in this figure we can see that the trend is not very stable. The trend is zigzag. The trend is zigzag. So if you keep this picture in your mind, you can solve any type of question.